Hello everyone, I'm Nu-Trix, and today we're looking at another cool synth from Audiokit. It's actually a bunch of samples from old Super NES games, so it's a very chiptune type of synth. But at the same time, it can be any type of like old school, noisy game type of sound and other sound. The structure of the synthesizer is basically the same as the King of Bass. So everything I did in the video of King of Bass should be applied here or could be applied here because it's the same structure. Mostly they changed the way that the samples that are part of it, and also the way the LFO works. You can, of course, make these chip sounds or these 8-bit game sounds. For me, the Super NES, I was older when it came out. You know, I'm the generation of the Atari and the ColecoVision, and yeah, I'm that old. So yeah, I remember playing on Pong. You have the top section, which is the section where you have the synthesis, and you have 4 different windows. You got the main windows with the volume, the cross, so it's a distortion. You have a fire, which is more like a saturation type of effect. You've got the analog filter, a low pass filter with resonance. You have auto pan, so that's the speed, and that's the depth. So if you don't want any of it, it's just mono. Same thing with tremolo. You don't hear it until you give some depth. So you have basically an LFO dedicated to the auto pan and an LFO dedicated to tremolo, plus the depth and the amount or the speed of it. You have a choice of monophonic or polyphonic, and the glide. You got the reverb here, which is a old school type of reverb, like 90s or 80s type of sound. You have an oscillator. Now, same thing as in the King of Bass, you have a choice of using the samples. So you click on it, you have really a lot of samples that you have here. You can guess where they come from, or just it kicks. Okay, so you got a bunch of sounds, and you've got the factory, and you got the expansion. You can choose between a sample or click here and choose an oscillator. So if you don't want to use at all these, you can use it just as a synthesizer with 2 oscillators. They are virtual analog. So I mean, it's still a full flange, not fully flanged, but a flange enough, a partially full, whatever. It's still powerful enough for you to do stuff that is your own if you want to. Next window, you've got a sequencer, same logic as before. You can just, you know, move up and down or left and right and change the value. So it's going to be how many semitones away from the note that you're playing. You've got how many steps you want. You decide how many steps you want to use here. Do you want to do the speed of your and the gate of each of the notes. Destination is where you're going to send it. Is it for both layers? Because remember, on oscillator, you got layer 1 and 2. And if you go in sequence, you have a choice of saying just layer 2 or just layer 1. So one can be, let's say, a sustained note. The other one could be playing. So you can create these things that are really interesting. Free running or a lock sequence. Free running, it will keep running in the background. So it doesn't re-trigger every time you play. It's always playing. That's the logic. And lock sequence, when you change preset, it will keep the current sequence. In that logic, it's really cool where you say, I like that rhythm, but I want to try with the different sounds. So this is a new feature, which is really cool. I like that. And you have the Pro section where you have the option of using a phaser, a delay, quick tune, so you can actually detune the whole synthesizer in a way. And this is where you have access to the LFO. So the LFO, they can be assigned to whatever you want. There's almost every knob can be assignable for the LFO. You can assign to 2 different destinations, but you have the same amount for the 2 of them. I wish, Matthew and other developers for this, if you would have a separate control of the amount and the amount could be plus or minus in both ways. So you can have the same LFO assigned to two different destinations with a separate amount, plus or minus. That would be great, but I'm just wishing for stuff. If you noticed, you might not have do that, but if you noticed, the analog filter, if you want it to move, you cannot assign an envelope. The envelope 1 and 2 are volume envelope, and both of them are assigned to, if you link, they're both using the same controllers, and they're both assigned to volume. What I would love to have is an envelope for the filter, which you don't have here. You just don't have an envelope for the filter. So I love to have an envelope for the filter for the attack, the boing, and then having an LFO for moving the sustain. So as you sustain, you go wow, 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 but you can't hear because the envelope is only assigned to the volume. And if I want to have this boing at the beginning, I need to assign this to the filter. Let's say I'm going to go filter cutoff. Where is it? Here, filter cutoff. You send it to this one. Let's just pick a sound like this and just pick a sound like that. So you hear very clearly what I'm talking about. If I go here, with that. Okay. If I go amount. So you hear the movement and you see the movement here. Okay, that's obvious. But I wanted just the attack, just go wow. So I'm going to go pro. I'm going to say instead of free running, I want it to play just one shot. And I want this shape. I want it to be softer or longer. So it works. You can create kind of an attack envelope or a decay only envelope with this. So the LFO becomes an envelope, but it's a one shot, and there's no control of having an LFO plus an attack decay on the filter, which I love to do. So it still works, but I would love to have this if possible. But that's still one way to do it. And still you have these raw sound you can play with. So it's pretty cool. They're just having fun, I guess. Let's just listen to some of the sound I created for this. I created this bass. Actually, this is only using the samples that are already sounding like that. Even the filter is actually not doing anything. So it's really just the sample, just picking them and combining them. Pretty cool. This one, res lead. This one has... You see the envelope of the filter. If you want it to be noisy. And so this one is basically two samples again, and the Pro is using the filter cutoff with an envelope, but this one is moving with a sine wave, but it's a one shot. So it goes open, it opens and closing, opens it a little bit and stop. Okay, so just different ways to do it. Dirty res lead. Now this one is just closing because of the shape I'm doing here, and I have these fire and crush there. Put more resonance on this one, or open this up more. Now you're going towards the next one, which is the slow sweep. And I have the play one note. Play one note. Now I'm using in this one, I'm using a sequencer. So I'm having the sequencer playing a sample, two soft samples. We got sustain here, but they're not sustained sound. Actually, the sequence is very short, so I play the sequence, and then I have a delay on this. Pretty cool. Next one is keys, but lo-fi keys. So this one is using so a piano sound and a tiny tap, but this one is higher in tune. So this one you hear this one, and you hear, and these together, and a little bit of delay and phaser on this one. Noisy keys. So this one is using a lot of distortion, crush, and fire, and some reverb, and some delay, and some phaser. So this is more of a effect destruction type of sound. And flutter keys, which is kind of the same sound with movement, and changing the samples. A little of movement here, and this is because you're sending a sine wave to the pulse width and the filter at the same time. The pulse width is, you see it here. And it's monophonic. That's it. Another cool Audiokit plugin. If you're into that, download this one. If you like my channel, thumb up. If you want more stuff, remember you can be a member of the channel and have extra content. And you can write to me about other stuff I can talk about, and I'll do that. Stay safe, make more music. See you soon. Cheers.